Ice Queendom is set to expand the world of RWBY in a number of new and interesting ways, some of which will easily be able to fit within the original RWBY universe, but others there may be some hiccups along the way. Especially when new characters are introduced with brand new abilities, some of the things may be confusing about them. In particular, with the brand new character introduced into Ice Queendom, Shion Zaiden, a traveling professor that specializes in hunting a specific type of Grimm, the Nightmare. And when we saw them hunt the Nightmare in episode 3, when Jean was afflicted, subjected to his own nightmare, and Shion used their unique abilities to help save Jean from that Grimm, a lot of things were happening all at once, and it's a bit difficult to differentiate between the different abilities that Shion has. What is actually Shions Semblance, and what is an ability that they may have picked up along the way, through their dedication as a Nightmare Hunter, through that specific focus that they have trained in. And because of that specific focus, and because of the way that I think their abilities work, I think Shion is an incredible hunter. Not necessarily the most powerful hunter we've ever seen exist in the RWBY universe, but definitely one with such a unique skill set that shows the dedication to their craft. And for those who are unaware, as of yesterday, Shion Zaiden was just confirmed to be a non-binary character by the cast and crew of RWBY. So from here on out, I will be referring to them using the they-them pronouns, and I respectfully ask everyone else to do the same. Now, for Shion's abilities that we witnessed in episode 3 of Ice Queendom, they were able to use their staff, the string in it in particular, to weave a giant dream catcher that propped up Jean, Pyrrha, Ren, and Nora, and then facilitated the entry of Pyrrha, Ren, and Nora into Jean's nightmare so that they could hunt the nightmare itself. With this entire ordeal, there are two distinct abilities that Shion is demonstrating. One is their ability to manipulate the string in their weapon. They are able to manipulate it with such precision that it's essentially telekinesis, but specifically with the string. The string is able to lift Jean up off of the floor, weaving something as intricate as the Dreamcatcher. Not only something intricate in two-dimensional space, but in three-dimensional space at that. And the way that they were able to manipulate the string when they caught the nightmare in the first place. Not only snaring it by throwing the string from their weapon outwards, but also when it was captured in the bottle, the string itself was able to close the bottle and clasp it on top of that. So the precision with which Shion is able to manipulate the string is definitely a distinct ability in and of itself that cannot be explained simply by just the regular use of aura or the use of dust. With the string being purple, people were theorizing in the comments of my review of that episode that, well, maybe there's just dust woven within the string. And although Shion's weapon is shown to be able to use dust, in particular lightning dust, the use of dust itself cannot cause an object to move in that way, with such precision, to be able to close jars like that and do all of the things that Shion is capable of doing. So dust isn't a reason why the string is moving that way. It has to be something else. The other ability that Shion is demonstrating is the ability to facilitate the jumping into dreams. Thanks to Shion, Pyrrha, Ren, and Nora were able to get into Jean's dream to be able to save him and drive out the nightmare. So there are two very distinct abilities that are being demonstrated here. The dream walking and the string manipulation. If these two abilities together constituted a semblance, then it would break canon, as we haven't seen any semblance in RWBY have such distinctly different abilities included in one semblance. The closest would be Weiss, having the ability to manipulate momentum with her glyphs, and having glyphs that also summon, but those are still at least related between having glyphs to facilitate them. And Weiss's semblance is already an exception to the rule, as every other semblance we have seen in the RWBY series is a single unique ability. In Shion's case, manipulating string and manipulating dreams or being able to enter dreams, just those two abilities on their own are inherently unrelated in any way, shape, or form. Yes, Shion is using the strings to help facilitate the entry into dreams. We've seen semblances in the RWBY series that do require an outside item to be able to function. A lot of people were saying that Shion's semblance simply works like Adam Tauros' semblance. The fact that Adam, with his moon slice, is able to absorb kinetic energy into his aura, but only using an aura conduit. His preferred conduit of choice being his wilt, his blade, and people were likening Shion's semblance to that. But the thing is, Shion is able to telekinetically manipulate the string. Adam is not able to telekinetically manipulate his wilt. He's not able to have his blade fly through the air however he likes. So Shion's abilities are a little bit difficult to distinguish between. But here's the thing, there is an explanation for Shion's abilities that would fit into canon. So out of the two abilities that Shion has demonstrated, the dreamwalking and the string manipulation, only one of them is their actual semblance, and the other is an ability that they have learned to use through their training as a nightmare hunter, and specifically have only been able to use because it's the nightmare. So which do you think is Shion's actual semblance? Let me know down in the comments below, and what your overall thoughts are on this theory entirely. Because Shion's actual semblance is not the dreamwalking. His semblance is the string manipulation. It's the only way that can logically explain how he is able to manipulate string in such a way. And the dreamwalking is an ability that Shion learned to use. As I mentioned a couple times already in this video, I had asked in the comments of my review of episode 3 for people to give their descriptions on how Shion's ability worked, because at that point in time, I was thinking that there had to be some magic involved. With Shion having a somewhat close relationship to Ozpin, and with the nightmare being such a dangerous grim as it is, it wouldn't surprise me that Ozpin might have given Shion a little bit of magic, similar to Crow or Raven, to give them the ability to either jump into dreams or manipulate string to be able to do what it is they do, save the victims of the nightmare, and for them to be able to actually fight against the nightmare in the way that they do. But one comment was able to change my thinking on Shion's abilities entirely. When Skyno described their way of viewing Shion's abilities, it got me thinking about things in a completely different way. Skyno theorized that Shion's semblance is in fact the ability to manipulate string. But there is something unique about that string, that Shion themselves were able to develop the string and the technology to facilitate the entry into dreams, or that someone had taught Shion how to use it. And this made a lot more sense and got me thinking about how this could be possible. It explains how Shion is able to manipulate strings in such a wild fashion. That being Shion's semblance makes a lot of sense. It's similar to other semblances that we've seen in the RWBY series. Telekinesis is surprisingly common. Not only Glinda Goodwitch and Carmen Esclados both have the semblance of telekinesis, though in varying degrees. There's also Pyrrha's semblance with her polarity. Although it's controlling magnetism, it is still similar to a form of telekinesis. But what is a form of telekinesis is Neptune's ability of water attraction. When he charges water with aura, he is able to manipulate it freely. And Shion is just able to do the same when they've charged string with their aura. They can manipulate it freely. And then the string itself is designed to be able to facilitate the entry into dreams. It is not Shion's inherent ability to be able to enter dreams or to help others enter dreams. It is something that they have worked on and possibly discovered themselves from studying the nightmare itself. Skyno, in their comment, theorized that the strings conduct electricity, and because of that they were able to conduct electrical signals from the brains of Ren, Nora, and Pyrrha into Jean's mind, and thus being able to enter his dream. And this really fits with what we've seen from Shion's weapon thus far, when the nightmare escaped from Jean's body, and we saw Shion click a lever on their weapon, and an electrical shock was sent to the nightmare that Shion was then able to capture. So Shion's weapon is designed to conduct electricity, and because Shion has their staff hooked up to all of the equipment that they brought with them, this is technology that Shion has developed. And if this string, or I guess more appropriately wire, if it's able to conduct electricity, is able to conduct electricity and convert electrical signals one way or another, that explains how Shion was able to hook those strings up to the phone and how he was able to communicate with Pyrrha, Ren, and Nora while they were inside Jean's nightmare. But just the ability to conduct electricity isn't enough to enter someone else's dreams. But the inherent nature of the nightmare allows this to happen. This explains why Shion didn't make any moves immediately after the beacon initiation. Shion has to wait until someone is actually afflicted with the nightmare, until the nightmare has made its move, the person is comatose, and the nightmare is feeding off of their aura while keeping their victim trapped in their own dream world. This is when Shion can actually facilitate the entry of others into someone else's dream, because the nightmare is hungry for aura and is essentially creating a space within the victim's mind where other people can enter by funneling their aura, in this case through Shion's string, into the mind of the person they wish to save. This is why when Shion is setting everything up, they have their strings wrap around the eyes of the individuals that are affected. That is almost a bridge into the person's mind, where each individual can then focus their aura and funnel it through the strings into Jean's mind in this case. And that's likely what's going to happen when the other nightmares need to be dealt with, in particular, the nightmare that is currently attacking Weiss. So, in summary, Shions Semblance is the ability to manipulate string or wire. And Shion has specifically developed this wire to be able to conduct electricity and electrical signals from the brains of individuals into the mind of another afflicted by the nightmare, thanks to the inherent hunger of the nightmare itself. The fact that it feeds on aura allows for others to channel their aura and their consciousness into the victim. Now, there is a little bit of anime logic involved there with the transferring of consciousness into, Jean's dream in this case, but overall, it works fairly well. We know that there's technology in Remnant that facilitates aura. The sheer existence of Penny is the perfect combination of aura and technology. So this technology does exist. Whether Shion themselves went to study an atlas and developed this technology themselves, or whether Shion was able to learn this from another nightmare hunter in the past. The dream entering capabilities being something that is not exclusive to Shion makes so much sense. That was something that I was having difficulty wrapping my mind around. If Shions Semblance was dreamwalking, able to facilitate the entry into dreams, then that would mean Shion is pretty much the only person that would be capable of saving anyone from a nightmare once it's infested their body. As I mentioned in the previous video, without the ability to enter into dreams and drive the nightmare out, the way that most people would deal with someone afflicted by a nightmare is probably to kill the host to try to kill the nightmare. So, thanks to Shion and the abilities that they have, people can actually be saved from the nightmare. And another notable thing that Skyno also pointed out is that when Shion is facilitating the entry into dreams, Shion's not really being drained of aura. You'd think if dreamwalking was Shions Semblance, while they are facilitating the entry into Jean's mind, while the battle is going on in his nightmare, you'd think that Shion would be experiencing some sort of strain, but Shion's just kind of chilling there, standing next to Ozpin and waiting for communication from those inside the nightmare itself. So, facilitating the entry into dreams isn't actually draining Shion's aura. But whenever Shion uses the strings and manipulates them, that is. It's the string manipulation that is Shions Semblance, and the dreamwalking capabilities is something separate, allowing for more nightmare hunters to exist in the world of Remnant to hunt down and hopefully save people from the nightmares that probably exist everywhere, especially if they are designed specifically by Salem to kill huntsmen. It'd be necessary to have this technology more widely available. So let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Do you think it makes sense that Shions Semblance is the ability to manipulate string, or wires, I suppose, and that these wires were specifically designed to help facilitate the entry into people's dreams? Meaning that pretty much anyone can set this up if they know how to, it's just Shions Semblance makes that very easy. And most likely, Shion, with practice and study of the nightmare itself, and also trying to help facilitate the entry into dreams, has learned that the pattern of a giant dream catcher is very helpful for conducting aura, or for helping to guide multiple people's aura and consciousness into one person's mind to help fight off the nightmare. It makes a lot of sense to me. Now, the existence of the dolls hanging over each individual's head, that one is still a little bit of a mystery. I'll chalk it up to something needed as a focal point for aura, something that each individual can focus on and then channel their aura into Shion or something like that, but honestly, the dolls are pretty minor compared to everything else. With this explanation that Shions Semblance is this one unique ability, similar to all other semblances, that he can just manipulate string, and then having the explanation for everything else that he brings along with them, the dream walking ability in and of itself, as well as the kind of cash register full of things, including the telephone, the capture vessel, and the extra string on top of that, all being something that has been designed, again, possibly by Shion themselves, but we'll have to wait and see if we see more of Shion's past and how they learned this technique, etc. Then everything just kind of clicks into place and could fit into canon with this description. Now, as Ice Queendom continues, we'll find out more about Shion's character, and things may turn out differently. This explanation currently works to explain everything that's going on, but if the writers decide that Shions Semblance is in fact the dreamwalking ability, then we're right back to magic with the manipulation of string, because there really isn't any other explanation for how he is able to manipulate the string with such precision. The fact that it was able to close the jar and then flip the latch on the jar with the string alone is really indicating that Shion is controlling the string essentially with their mind. And in this case, their semblance. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. How do you like Shion's character so far? What do you think of their abilities? Do you think this explanation for them makes sense? And if you have your own explanation, let me know down in the comments below. Is there anything that I missed, or is there anything that you'd like to explain in more detail? I'd be really fascinated to find out what you all think, so make sure to let me know. And if you guys did enjoy this video, want to see more like it, more RWBY theories, more RWBY content in general, and continued coverage of the Ice Queendom anime as it airs, make sure to subscribe and join the Guild of the Eternal Flame. Tweet me at PhoenixKnight7, and I'll see you guys in the next video.